Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us for the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you know whenever we are live. I'm Lindsay Smith here with Saul Bookman, Espo, and Gerald Bourget, and we are out at Marco de Niza High School for the MLK Dream Classic. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Hey, it feels good to be back home, baby.
Yeah, I figured that this was just an excuse to get us in the house that Saul Bookman didn't build but once played in.
Listen, man, honestly, when we looked at the schedule and we saw that the Grizzlies were playing the Suns in Memphis and it being on MLK Day, I just thought that everything lined up for us to be able to do something that I thought was a little bit outside of our usual box, right? And this is a great way to honor his legacy and also honor the community because a lot of these people today will be recognized for the great work that they do in the community. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, and coming up later on in the show, we will have the director of MLK Dream Classic, Mark Beasley, joining us. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, we do have a game tonight. The Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies will face off. And boy, do we need a win, but this is going to be a tough battle.
Impossible is almost the way I feel about this.
Yeah, Landry Shamet better hope he doesn't play because there's a good chance he gets Aaron Gordoned again by Ja Morant. Have you seen some of those posters lately?
Yeah.
Not great. Not great.
Not great. This is going to be a tough one because I think the Suns were motivated last time they played them and they blew them out of the building, but they had just gotten whopped by them a couple games before. Now that motivation might not be there as much, what's going to happen? Like they've got a tough battle on their hands, although at least the Grizzlies' best player might not play, so maybe they have a chance.
Might not. But
might not.
Have you watched this stretch for the Suns? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Ja Morant will play today.
It also seems like we've talked about this all season. It seems like teams want to get up and perform when they're playing against the Suns, regardless of what the record looks like over the last handful of weeks. There's still a team that have a target on their back because we've talked a lot of smack. So
yeah, it's a revenge tour for the rest of the NBA for sure.
Well, and there's blood in the water. They know that this isn't a full-strength Suns team. Not only can they, get a little revenge, but they can put up big numbers against them as well, and there's motivation to do that. So.
Yeah, and the Grizzlies are the ones that have said, we're not scared of anybody in the West. So they've also been talking a little bit of trash this season. I was happy with the way the Suns responded last time. Now you got to get up and do it again. While you're in the middle of yet another losing skid. So we'll see.
I wonder if Ja's still not worried about anybody in the West. Because Denver looks pretty good, except for last night. Denver did not look good last night.
I mean, Denver looks good. Pelicans look good. Suns, if healthy, are good.
Ja feels like he's just on a mission to dunk on as many dudes this year as possible.
R.I.P. Jalen Smith.
And like monster dunks. Not just like he wants to put some people on posters this year. I think he maybe just has like a checklist of all the guys and he's just going off and marking them one by one.
Yeah. Who's the victim today if we had to guess?
I think he wants DA.
Yeah.
If you got a guy on this roster that you want, it's probably DA.
Think it's DA?
Yeah.
I would say if we're talking about like a pecking order, DA would be the guy because he's one of the bigger names as far as the literally bigger athletes.
I think he would target someone like either a Busy or like a Torrey Craig, somebody trying to rotate from the other side and gets caught in the crossfire. I feel like Torrey Craig would not back down from trying to block that.
I think it would be far more impressive if he dunked on Busy than if he dunked on DA. Just because I feel like Busy's got that length. Mm-hmm. And so if he was going to get dunked on, I envision Ja coming through and Busy just getting draped over him and just
not to mention Busy is known for blocking shots too, so it adds a little more insult to injury that you actually get to dunk on somebody who is notoriously pretty good at blocking shots.
D-Wash better hope it's not him because Ja might jump right over him. I mean, that's the hops.
Has that ever happened in a game where a guy has literally almost like jumped over another player?
Oh yeah, Vince Carter
against France, right?
Against Australia. I thought it was Australia.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
he jumped over
a big old 7-footer right over his head.
I need to look at this highlight.
I had to check somebody yesterday because somebody was talking about Ja's dunk the other day was probably the greatest in a game in NBA history. I was like, bro, go back and look at Vince Carter because he had some of the sickest dunks I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah, in game, like posterizing a guy, was that the thing, or just dunk overall?
Posterizing. DeAndre Jordan over
pretty
Brandon
close.
Knight is my number one of all time.
I mean,
Nobody will ever beat that because he absolutely, when Brandon Knight hit the ground, you saw his soul leave.
Well, it also was one of the best memes too. It was around the time that Twitter started those, and that was one of the best. Brandon Knight, it was just that may have actually ended him in general, his basketball career.
Ouch. All right, well, let's talk about a few tidbits for tonight's game. Espo, you mentioned Landry Shamet might want to hope that he's not playing tonight. Yeah. Well, he is coming into this game. He's going to be questionable. So at least we're getting closer to getting a few more guys back in the rotation. Unfortunately, though, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Cam Johnson, and Cam Payne all remain out for this matchup. On the Grizzlies side of things, Gerald, you mentioned their best player might not play in tonight's game. Ja Morant is listed as questionable with left hip soreness. John Conshore is questionable as well, and Danny Green is out.
Did Ja hit his hip when he dunked on that dude? Like, was that what happened? He got so high, he just hit it on his shoulder? Or?
All I know is, so you're saying there's a chance.
Honestly, sometimes those type of plays in basketball do terrify me because the amount of the potential that you could just land wrong or land on somebody and then land wrong, I feel like is so high. I get so nervous every single time an athlete does something like that.
Well, because he gets up so high, and then he goes like vertical with it or horizontal with it with his arm. I'm like, oh my god, he's dropping the hammer.
That's what makes his so crazy though. He does the cock back and then he goes. It's not straight up. So.
No, it looks like me when I'm dunking a donut in my coffee.
Glad that's where you go.
All the way back here.
I thought we were about to get. That looked like me back in my day here at Marco de Niza when I used to dunk on some fools.
That's why I did not say that.
Oh my goodness! All right, so now that we know what the injury report looks like, just curious if Ja does not play tonight, does that raise your hopes a little bit? Do you guys feel a lot better or a little better? Like, what's the percentage?
A little better. This is a very good and very physical Grizzlies team. So, I think it makes me feel a little bit better, but they have the horses still to be able to pull this off. Where the Suns, it depends. What DA do we get? Do we get the DA that showed up last game and didn't show up at all? Or do we get a guy that's a little bit more locked in? That's a bigger question mark to me than who's playing for the Grizzlies.
I think for me it moves from like an 80-90% certainty that the Grizz would win to more like 50%. I think it would be a toss-up at that point based on how the Suns would play tonight without him in.
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies have been good without Ja Morant the last couple of years, surprisingly. They've shocked a lot of teams in that way, but like the Grizzlies are an elite points in the paint team, and that's been the story of these two matchups. The first one, the Suns got outscored 72-42 in points in the paint. The second one, the Grizzlies still won, but it was only 48-46. And Ja Morant is a top 10 player at scoring in the paint.
So
He's really tough.
So what you're saying is that the Grizz need to trade Ja and the Suns need to trade DA because both teams thrive without those two players.
I think it's only fair.
I mean,
can they
one for one swap?
Does the math work there? Can we just leave DA, take Ja home?
Sure.
Call it a day?
I think it's fair.
Would you say that would be a successful move by James Jones before the trade deadline?
I think it'd be a hell of a road trip. That's what I'd say if he came back.
Oh, Espo, what are we wearing tonight? What are we going to see out there on the court?
We are wearing the Statement Edition jerseys tonight. The black. You don't like them?
They've got a terrible record in those jerseys.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure they do. Oh no, it's the white ones that are the worst.
The white ones are terrible.
The white ones are
Okay, let's be frank. Right now, they have a terrible record in most uniforms. It's not like the last few years. And you got the Grizzlies wearing the powder blue ones that they have, and I actually really like these. I usually crap on the opponent's uniforms. This is a solid 8.5, 9 for me.
I feel like you and I are always on the opposite page when it comes
those?
to jerseys. I am not a powder blue person. The color as a whole it's not my jam.
I'm sorry they couldn't wear the Oscar the Grouch green with the black. I apologize.
Well,
that's you.
All right, gentlemen, who you got tonight and by how much?
Well, I've got the Grizzlies by 7, I think. I don't know. This is still a very good team, even if Ja doesn't play. And since he's still questionable, I'm leaving open the possibility that he does play and this turns into a blowout.
Yeah, I have the Grizzlies by 12.
Okay.
Wow. If Ja doesn't play, maybe it's more like 8. But I'm going under the assumption that Ja will play. I'm going to go with a 12-point Grizzlies win at home.
I'm making a last-minute pivot. I did have the Grizz by 10, but because I made a bet that kind of defeats the purpose of that. I'm going Grizz by 11 to cover the spread that I bet.
Okay.
Moving ahead. There you go.
Okay, I see. I've got the Grizz by 8. Again, it's one of those things like if Ja plays, number might be a little bit higher. But even if Ja does play, I feel like if they get out ahead of the Suns, they're going to pull their starters pretty early. And I don't think they have to worry too much. I mean, we saw it the other night as well. The Suns were able to close the gap, but it was also because our opponents seem to let their foot off the gas a little bit later in the game sometimes recently because they get up so quickly and with very big margins against the Suns. So I'm going to go Grizzlies by 8 tonight.
You guys realize the last time we did this and we all picked against the Suns, they won.
Well, let's hope our track record stays the same tonight with
just saying. Not saying it's going to repeat, but just saying.
Fingers crossed. So we are recording this a little bit early, so I know the favorite might change. DraftKings Sportsbook app. Espo, do you know what it is currently?
I'm going to give you the exact latest at plus 10.5 for the Suns. So the Grizzlies are favored by 10.5.
All right. And if that has changed, obviously, like I said, little disclaimer, we are recording this a little bit earlier because we are out here at Marco de Niza High School. What are you guys putting your money on the DraftKings Sportsbook app tonight?
Oh, give me the money, baby. I got to get, I got to get back on track. It's been a rough go for the old Bookman household, except for the fact that the Jaguars did save my ass this weekend. I have a parlay. I have the Grizz by 10.5. They're going to cover the spread. I have Mikal Bridges PRA of 30+.
Okay.
I think that's easily doable, especially considering the way he's been playing on the offensive side. And then I got Torrey Craig. This is my biggest question mark. PRA as well, 22+ points.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh. So, I'm hoping 10 points, 4 assists, 8 rebounds. You're good.
What do you stand to make on that?
Yeah, what's the odds?
It's plus 3,000.
Wow.
So you guys are totally fucked if this comes through because I'll go from negative 30 to positive $280.
Wow.
Let's go. Swinging big today, folks.
So expect them to be $10 further in the negative.
So you
by
can
the
expect
end of
me
this
to about negative 50 today.
Yep.
Unlike Saul, I don't like to wait until the end of the game to know if I'm going to hit my bet or not. I like to make it exciting in that first minute and a half, 30 seconds, 2 seconds sometimes. I have Suns making the first bucket as a three-pointer at a plus 500.
Okay.
I make $60 if that hits. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, you and I are somewhat on the same page. I also went first field goal, but I took Memphis with a 2-point bucket. That is a plus 125. So I'm only going to be making like $22.50 on this bet if it hits, but I figured I don't want to take the same bet as you. I would like to mix it up, so hopefully mine hits and yours doesn't.
So what I love is if I win, you lose, and I get an even bigger lead just because of that. I'm all right with that.
This is a little bit of a gamble, but isn't that the name of the game?
Yeah.
Just curious. Okay, so the leaderboard here, Saul is a minus 3850.
Damn it.
I'm a plus 6623. And Espo is a plus 77. So we're looking... Espo and I are looking good. Saul, you need your bet to hit tonight real bad.
Yeah.
Real bad.
Gerald, I know you can't partake, but what are you thinking of the race so far? What do you think of the three of us, what we got going?
I mean, I've been very entertained. I think at this point, all you have to do is just keep winning bets. I think.
Look at that
So
analysis.
you're saying my strategy
Look
is
at that
good.
analysis.
You approve.
But this is the thing, though, okay? And this is where I think the dynamic changes. If anybody ends up hitting on one of the bigger bets,
Yeah, it's over.
it changes the game because now, like, for instance, if I hit today, right, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't think I will, but if I did hit today, I would be up by over $200 on both of you guys, and then I could go conservative and wait for them to catch up, right?
But we've
So,
already seen that. I took
might
that
just take the same bet you guys do every game.
But we've seen that because
Saul, wow.
I was in the hole too with you.
Yeah.
I was there with you, and I took a big bet that hit, and it swung the whole thing. Now I didn't get as big of a lead as you might, but it's a fun strategy and all this.
Yeah.
I've actually really enjoyed it.
It is pretty fun. It is.
It's a tough one, but if you guys want to get in on the action on the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now, all new and existing customers can take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Boost your NFL winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. If you are not already a user of the DraftKings Sportsbook app, be sure to download the app, but make sure you use that promo code PHNX because new customers can bet $5 on the NFL divisional round and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with that code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, now we are welcoming in our special guest, Mark Beasley, director of MLK Dream Classic. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Lindsay, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Give us a little bit of a breakdown and backstory to this event, kind of how it came to be and what's so special about it.
How it came to be was just I have that type of mind where I love event management. I wanted to celebrate high school basketball here in Arizona. And what better way or day to do it than on MLK Civil Rights Day, an individual who supports diversity, inclusivity, and everybody has the day off. And I thought it would be a really good idea to put it together. Really, really good people working with in terms of athletic directors and coaches because they have to move games to this particular facility on this particular day. So it's just been an idea of mine. I've been doing it for a long time. But it's, they say MLK Day is a day on, it's not a day off. And so this is a day where I think we should celebrate not only the athletes, but we celebrate MLK as well.
A lot of different cities, a lot of different tournaments that have the MLK name attached to it. But this one's a little bit different because you guys are actually going to be doing some honoring of some people today.
That's such a great point because I think people take advantage of the day off and they just put the games on and that's it. Yeah. And I think they kind of miss the whole messaging. And so the messaging for this particular event is, we're going to play games today, and we're going to celebrate these student athletes, as I said. We're also going to recognize individuals from each school community that do stuff on their respective campus and their respective communities, and they celebrate the students, and they bring people together. So whether it be a faculty member, we have an equipment manager, we have a SRO, a police officer from Tempe. We're going to recognize 4 individuals today at halftime of the four games here, and we're going to give them a plaque. They're going to have a nice bio read, and they're going to get some love from everybody here in the audience.
How important is it? I mean, what was it about basketball in particular that you wanted to build it around basketball and do it this way?
Well, look outside, Espo. It's raining, number one.
It's Arizona, though.
I understand that, but I played basketball at Westwood.
Okay.
I played in this gym. I referee college basketball, so basketball has always been my number one. I mean, there's an intimate aspect of basketball where it's all about community. And because I love the sport so much, I'm just a big advocate of high school basketball. And I think just with my relationship, being a former referee in high school, now doing college, I have built-in relationships with coaches, athletic directors. I just met the principal at Desert Vista. I went over there and I shook her hand because, she needs to sign off on things like this. So, Again, relationships are important. Relationships with you all are important. And so I just felt it would be a good convergence of just some good people, and it's worked out really well.
What's harder, managing something like this or refereeing in college?
Oh, good question.
That's a good question, Espo, or Greg, I should say.
Whatever you want.
I'm gonna say they're equally difficult. Obviously, when you do event management, once the ball goes up on the first game, then you're done.
Yeah.
Then everything just flows. When you're officiating, obviously, it's 40 minutes, and you're making decisions, and you have monitor reviews and player emotion situations. So they're both equally difficult, but I'm a Leo, Espo. I love challenges.
You got some big-time players here today.
Yeah.
Jersey Robinson back here for Desert Vista, who's, by all accounts, the number 1 ranked player in her class. But Shea Ijiwowe as well. And then later on today, we'll see Monty Williams' son, Elijah.
Yeah, he played an event. I had an event Friday over to MCC, the Christian Challenge. It was my first time seeing him. Yeah, these kids in Arizona, and you're a former ball player too, these kids are getting so talented at such younger ages. And I think that's just the number of people that are coming to the state, the club basketball world, the training, all that type of stuff. I'm not adept at particular players and rankings and all that type of stuff. I just know I hear, I read, I see, I watch, and I try to bring good teams, good coaches. I'll put it this way. None of these coaches are going to throw a clipboard or throw a chair, right? Because I don't want to work with people in that respect. I want great individuals who teach and support kids, and I think the kids kind of exemplify that from their benches. So it works out really well. It's all one big community. It's all one big love, and I say that because if we have a technical foul, I'm going to be mad because now all that just went out the window, right? If we get a technical foul in the first game. So we'll see how it goes.
I want to go back a little bit to some of the people that you're honoring at halftime of these games. What characteristics or type of examples are they setting? Like, what are the personality traits, or what are the things that they're doing within these schools and in their communities that make them worthy of this honor?
That's a great question, Lindsay. And I'll tell you, I put that responsibility on each school's administration to identify that individual. But then I contact each individual and I have a little discussion with them because I need a bio I need to create, and that's read over the PA when they're announced. The common theme in each of them is their undying support for students, for young people. And if we think back to our high school years, how important it was to have adult mentorship in our lives growing up. It could be a coach, a teacher, a counselor. It could be a custodian. It could be, in one of our honorees is an equipment manager. Somebody to take ownership and take accountability with that particular student, I think, is important with all students. We had some tragedy in one of the high schools earlier this week, and it's going to affect a lot of people. It's going to affect the student body at one of the sister schools here at Marcos. And I think it's important that we as adults, and even in what we do, we wrap our arms around young people and say, we got you. And hopefully they listen. Instead of being on their phones, hopefully they make eye contact and they interact. And they see that adults aren't bad people. We've been there, and we know how important it is. But everything from empathy to just full support, Lindsay, and maybe holding kids accountable, too, because when you mess up, I'm going to call you out privately, subtly, but I'm going to call you out and say, hey, Espo, you need to do better. Yeah. Saul, you need to do better.
Saul tells me that all the time.
Yeah, you need to do better. And that's because this is foundational stuff, and athletics provides that foundation for life lessons. You know what I mean? So that's why I just want to wrap my arms around these young people and event management like this, because it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Having you guys come out is big time. I mean, Saul and I had a great conversation, and it's really, really cool. I mean, he played here at Marcos, and just ironic, I set it up that way, Saul, too. I had the event here at Marcos, just hoping to bring you in.
I'll tell you what,
and I brought you in.
It worked.
Did it work?
It worked, and now I'm hooked, and we might have to do this every single year now.
Third Monday of every year in January. Next year we'll be at Corona.
Yeah. And
then, again, already hooked in Desert Vista. So January 2025, it's going to be at Desert Vista. Because the first thing she goes, when's it going to be at Desert Vista? Boom. So, again, relationships.
Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your hard work in putting this event together.
Thank you.
We are so honored to be here, to be able to support you guys and be a small part of this huge day. And I'm sure the kids are going to have a blast out there playing basketball.
It looks like we have a great crowd, and you guys being here adds so much. And next time when I'm on, I will wear a beanie like you, Lindsay. If the Suns win today, then I'm definitely going to wear a beanie.
Yes.
But just don't, that Ja Morant dunk the other day, you know what? I'll tell you what, if you don't do that, then we're going to be okay.
Yes,
I like the reflexes. I saw that coming. You almost had it. Yeah.
Periphery. I can see. I'm watching you, Espo. I'm watching. They put me next to you for a reason.
Thank you. Thank you. Protect me.
Mark, thank you again. And everyone who tuned in, thank you guys for being here with us. We appreciate you as always. And of course, meet us right back here after the game wraps up. Bye.